what are you seeing stylistically or statistically that might make you think that these improvements are legitimate?
Offensively or defensively?
Dealer's choice, man.
Well, let's go offensively because I think that's where if you look at the rankings in the rank in the 40s offensively, I think probably from the preseason, if we had to pick one, I think we all probably would have thought their offense would be at least in the 20s, if not higher, given some of the versatility that they did have. Looking at the Kentucky game, offense was it wasn't much to be found, but they did make a lot of key baskets. And Georgetown, they were able to improve that, getting back from a points per possession. Their best game in their last three. I think I know we'll talk about Dixon, but I do think what we saw in Georgetown, some of the lineups that they utilized for longer stretches, to me, from an offensive standpoint, could make them a little more dangerous. And I think having the next few games to continue to experiment with those, then you're going to have Seth Trimble coming back. But when you have Dixon, Evans, and Bogovats on the floor at the same time, paired with Wilson and Vasar, it provides a legit five scoring threats. And given the struggles we've seen from Evans and maybe the difficulty in getting clean open shots up from three, I do like him being paired with Dixon at times, just for them to play off of each other. And when you add Bogovats, kind of three scorers from the wing. So we did get to see that in the first half and second half against Georgetown. Now, obviously, with that, you're going to be giving up some on the defensive end from a size and length, especially when you're taking Stevenson out. But when you're looking at that Georgetown first half, you felt like they could have been up 10 with a few, some of Powell's threes went down or a few things here or there, but it was still a game and they were able to push it out, get to 80 points. But Kentucky, which I know we'll go into more, there's a lot of struggles. And now that was on the road, probably the win, seeing what Gonzaga did, Kentucky might look a little different. But from a Georgetown perspective, I think there's a little more consistency, and the guards are able to take a little more pressure off of the bigs, who continue to have great games all around.
Sean, I feel like individuals on this team are starting to figure out their roles a little better. One of the biggest qualms with last year's roster was I don't know that guys knew their roles until like February. But because Hubert Davis is playing some different lineups and playing some weird combinations and some guys that makes you scratch your head a little bit when you see him out there together, I think you're finding some things that might work in situational stuff in the future. Do you feel like that the fact he's using his bench right now is making individual players better and thus making the team better as a unit?
Well, from a bench perspective, I think still not a very, very deep team, even though Powell didn't play great today. Obviously, he brings shooting. I think we've seen what happens when he attacks the rim. It hasn't ended well, but I've loved what he has brought from an offensive rebounding perspective, and that was really the reason they won the game against Kentucky as a team, what they're bringing from an offensive rebounding perspective to create those second and third chance opportunities. So, the continued emergence of what he's bringing. But in terms of, I'm going to stay with the starters because I do think they've been able to push the right buttons when needed. Of Bogovats, who I'm still waiting for him to, I think, fully get immersed and come to be the player that we think he can coming out of the Adriatic League offensively and show that consistency. From a three-point perspective, we're starting to see it, and he's been able to have some crafty moves around the basket, but go against the Kentucky game, he hit some big shots. And then you have Dixon, who started to emerge double figures tonight, obviously the big 5 points against Kentucky. And he brings that size and almost a veteran leadership to him, even though he is a freshman, just from the poise on the court. And then when you see the timeouts or the huddles, you have, whether Dixon's in the game or Evans, they're the most vocal of players. And then Vasar, you can see his frustration shine through a lot during the game. But I think that shows his passion. So between the big and then the guards talking it up a lot, I think that's been a good sign. But going back to the roles, last year, I think one of the main issues was people probably wanted roles that other players had, or roles that they saw for themselves versus what the coaches saw. This year, I think people are starting to figure it out, especially with Henry and Caleb being the alphas and the dominant ones in the front court. Jaron offering still want to see more consistently from him, which he had been giving up, I'd say through this Georgetown game. Still trying to figure out Evans, but I think the more that he can play with Dixon or with Trimble a little bit and maybe recalibrate expectations for him if you're looking at it between him and Dixon. But Dixon, what we're seeing now, I think he's still going to grow a lot. So there's still going to be some ups and downs with him, but his roles, I think, is probably the most, between him and Bogovat's the one that will evolve the most from the guard perspective.